There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With even more exclusive content, with over 150 channels in your vehicle, including the widest, deepest variety of music, ad-free. Root for your team. Get news. Listen to whatever makes you laugh. And hear all about your favorite stars. Your Platinum Plan offer includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels filled with music and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video. Thousands of hours of shows and performances on demand. What you love is on now.
You know, every once in a while, an innovation comes along that can truly be classified as a game changer. And although sometimes unexpected, the impact that it has would be undeniable. If you haven't already heard, the VOXX power system is one of those game changers. And today, we're going to dive right in and show you guys exactly why you need to have a couple of these bad boys in your store. Because if you're going to offer a level of service and something that your customers didn't even know existed. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM, all about VOXX Power System, and it starts now. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another edition of CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. We are going down the avenue, which is mobile audio accessories or accessories at large. And we've come to a brand who obviously does many different categories of items. And that is, of course, VOXX Electronics. Now, recently, they came up and announced this brand new device. We had some, a chance or two to talk to you guys about it. But now is the perfect time to really pay attention because this thing, how can I say this? When it first came out, I think the guys at VOXX or the people at VOXX had a certain idea of where it could go or who it would benefit. And what I think has happened now is that now that the item has actually come to market and there's more people who have had their hands on it, more technicians who have installed it in different types of scenarios, I think the offering or the scope of which this type of product actually can impact has grown from there. And that's what we're going to find out today. We're going to talk to their product expert. I'd like to welcome him to the show. He is the Vice President of Vehicle Entertainment at VOXX Electronics. His name is Joe Caltabiano.
Hey, Ben, how are you today?
What's going on, Joe? Good to see you.
It's been a long time.
Oh, I'm sure it has. It's been a very long time. However, the reason why I'm kind of motivated by today's conversation, I hope you can hear my voice, is I remember when we first talked about this device. And in the beginning, I'm going to be honest, I'll be the first one to be like, really? We're going to spend an entire show talking about a boosting device? This was, mind you, before we got into it and I really understood what this device was all about. Because at its surface, for me, it was like, VOXX does a couple of things really amazing, right? They do a ton of mobile video stuff. They do obviously huge footprint in security and remote car starters, and even in ADAS, right? With the acquisition of different brands, like Rostra and Gentex. But why would VOXX decide to get into the emergency boosting business? So why don't I give you an opportunity to kind of explain that story?
Sure. So, I've been with VOXX for 20 years. The company's been around since 1965. We've had a lot of different products. We've got into mature categories or categories that were new then and are matured out now, such as video, such as vehicle security, remote starts, and then we dabbled in other stuff. But one of the reasons why, we like to venture in new categories is the new opportunities, and they may be different than the regular mainstream customer that we're dealing with today, but they have ties back to our mainstream customers that allow them capabilities to actually grow their business in sections that they never even knew were available.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to expand on that and so that dealers who are tuning in could better understand, my first question was, why into a market that already is so saturated? You're thinking about boosting device and everybody knows, right? You go to, brand X online store and they have these things for special. Up here in Canada, you go to Canadian Tire, they got like 5 of these on the shelf, different ones to choose from. It's that battery pack that you can store away and that you can boost your car when you need it. Why get into something that seems so, what's the word, saturated perhaps?
Yeah, well, we'll get into it in some of the slides, but I mean, really, the synopsis there is, yeah, you can go get jumper cables. You can buy a little portable jump pack. The problem is you always have to rely on something. With a jumper cables, you need another pedestrian to help you, right? Someone's got to be there, wherever the situation is, whether it's a vehicle that's down, whether it's your boat that needs a charge, someone's got to help you, bail you out. The portable jump packs, they used to be the big clunky hand carried ones that you see at car dealerships when all the dealership vehicles are dead in the lot and they have to jump them, or the small ones that you can plug in with a USB and throw in your glove box. The problem is they're usually overrated. They don't meet the specs that they're supposed to be meeting, but more so is they lose their charge over time, right? So it's something that you have to think about again. If I threw it in my glove box 3 months ago, is it going to have enough charge to jump start my vehicle, when my vehicle is dead? And that's the problem. You never know. When you go to use it, doesn't help you out. So we tried to, we basically developed a product that takes the guesswork out of everything. It's installed, it's there, it's always charged, it's ready to go on demand whenever you need it. It might be a little bit more pricey than your traditional, $20 jumper cables or $49.99 jump pack. But, the thing, like I mentioned before, is even though some widgets don't always make sense in traditional consumer electronics channels, they get some attachment. There's other alternate channels where they do make a lot of sense. And that is where we sink our teeth into these things, put products like this out in the market, get the feedback, find the right product placement, and then go in deep. And this one for your audience, again, it still has a lot of flexibility outside the normal traditional consumer walking into their stereo shop.
100%. And you said 2 things I want to comment on before we get into it. Number one, you said the word installation. These jump packs or whatever you call them, there's no opportunity for making money for dealers in that. I mean, unless you want to put a pile of them on your showroom, people come and buy them, that's one thing. But this is a device that you could take advantage of your specialty skill set as a 12-volt installer and properly install these devices into your customer's vehicle. So first and foremost, there's an installation benefit, right? It's hardwired. That's number one. And number two, you're totally right. Our dealers, who do this, car audio or as a stereo or, remote start, these are the specialists that know how to put these type of devices in safely, appropriately, and have the right tools and access to do it. So now what we're presenting here, Joe, is an opportunity. It's something new that you can add to your current offering. And it's one I'm going to tell you right now, if you're watching this right now, you need to learn about it, you need to understand it. But I guarantee you, if you bring it up to your customers, they will have no choice but to buy it. And I'm going to let Joe explain the whole thing, and we'll kind of circle back to different scenarios of what this could be about. On that note, why don't we get you set up on your presentation? We'll get everybody up to speed on what the product is, some of the key features and benefits. And what I'm really looking forward to, Joe, is you and I having this conversation of multiple different scenarios and opportunities that dealers could really take advantage of this product afterwards.
Sure.
All right, let's get going.
All right. So VOXX Power Systems, we call VPS for short. And what is it? Essentially, it's emergency on-demand jump starter. It's as simple as that. But we've made it cool. We made it installed. Like I said, we took the guesswork out of it because here are your traditional options, which are really 3. You're either getting a jump start from another person that if you have jumper cables or they have jumper cables, you need a bystander to help you out. The portable jump starters we talked about, they're insufficiently charged, or they won't be sufficiently charged when you need them because you forget about them once you unplug them from a wall or a USB socket and you stick them in your glove box. Generally these things only keep their charge for maybe, a month to 2 months before they're dissipated to a point where they don't have enough charge to jumpstart your vehicle. And then there's obviously roadside assistance, whether you get that free as part of your insurance package or with the vehicle or you're paying for it. But if you ever call for roadside assistance, you're waiting a long time on the side of the road. to get someone to help bail you out. You don't know. Is that going to be 2 p.m. during the day? Is it going to be 11 p.m. at night or 3 o'clock in the morning? So no one wants to be in these scenarios. So that's why we developed a product that kind of takes the guesswork out of everything. It goes in the vehicles and it's installed. So once it's installed, it's out of sight, it's out of mind, it does its thing. And we did it to solve a couple scenarios. So let's just take the general consumer, right? If you want to tug on the heartstrings of your mom and dad, or mom and dad with kids that are teenage drivers, and you don't want your daughter or your son out there in a situation that is not safe for them if they have a dead battery late at night, whatever it may be, it's pouring outside, whatever the scenario is. This is a product that all they have to do is, from the convenience of their driver's seat, just engage the system, jumpstart the vehicle, and then they're on their way. But that's the general consumer. It's hard to get a general consumer when they're looking at other devices, whether it's online or they're walking through a Walmart and they see it cheap to spend the kind of money that our product retails for, which is $299.99. But let's flip the script there. Let's talk about the 12-volt specialist. You're putting in a $4,000, $5,000 audio system. Why wouldn't you put this in? You want to crank up your tunes and you want to, rock out. Well, for a small little investment, you can make sure that you won't kill your battery and end up in a situation where you're not going anywhere, right? That's a given. We actually learned recently, and one customer that was interested in our product, they do SPL contests for motorcycles. We didn't even know that channel existed. They were doing something up in the Myrtle Beach area, and as soon as they showed the product, they started getting interest from their customers and started buying them, and just to service that little niche of a market. But when you're talking about vehicles or motorcycles and stuff like that, whether it's for SPL sound off competitions or people with high intense systems, it's nice to have something that that you have a possibility of draining down your battery, have a device to defeat that situation. But let's talk about alternative channels, right? We all know that a lot of shops may service their local community as far as upfitting police vehicles or emergency vehicles, fire, ambulance, right? Adding lights, doing some of those added on accessories. Well, this is again in the solution. If you talk to any municipality, whether it's fire, ambulance, or police, they have to leave their vehicles running when they're at a scene, because if they don't, everything is going to drain their battery down if they just leave it in accessory mode. That's why the vehicles are always running. So this is a nice little piece of cheap insurance to put in those vehicles. So when they have all the lights blaring and the laptops going and every other widget that's on the vehicle flaring out, they have a device to back them up if they drain the battery down. But one of the biggest channels that we have seen is the marine channel, right? Everybody who owns a boat has been in a situation, whether it's a small boat, and there's a lot of applications, right? You can talk about the single recreational boat, single battery out there, got the wakeboarding going on, the tunes flaring, and you drain down your only battery. That's your primary battery that's running all your accessories. Plus, it's got to start the motor because you party too hard, right? And then the expensive element is a sea tow, or just getting towed in wherever it may be, whether it's the lake, the ocean, whatever. It's quite expensive. Right? Coming from Long Island, a sea tow is $800 just to get back to dock, right? So for $299 plus installation, that takes that out of the equation of having to worry about that. But even if you have multiple battery systems, we spoke to a lot of people at our shows and even in the marine sector, right, where they have a Pergo switch, they have multiple batteries, they got a small little, fishing boat with trolling motors. Yeah, you might have multiple batteries running different things, but again, if you run into a situation where you drain down these batteries, that now you're flipping over to your primary battery just to get a little bit more playtime on your accessory batteries. Now you drain down your primary battery, boom, you're still in a situation where you got that battery, right? So what our system does is it attaches to the vehicle itself, right? So it's getting installed in the vehicle. As soon as this, pop over another slide. Gets installed in the vehicle. So generally in a truck or an SUV, under a seat, in a sedan, in the trunk. You would wire it directly to the battery. You can ground it next to the device as long as you have a solid ground, but you have to wire it directly to the battery, because while your vehicle is running, just like your alternator is charging your vehicle battery, well, your alternator through your battery is charging our device. It's got built-in system diagnostics. So it's smart enough to know that when it reaches its full charge, it's just going to go into sleep mode. It's not going to overcharge itself. So you're not going to wear down the battery. We rate the battery life on this at around 5 years, but in all of our testing, it's been able to accelerate that through accelerated life testing. It also has a lithium iron phosphate battery, which is a very, let's just say, it's an expensive battery, but it's a better battery that's used in any other product that's like this as far as a boosting device. And the reason why we use it is because it can handle the rigorous charging, depletion, plus it's safe. I could puncture this unit with a screwdriver and it won't create a fire or safety risk. It's one of the reasons why we use that type of battery inside of it. But as far as convenience, we've designed it so, like I mentioned before, right from the comfort of your driver's seat, you can, when you do a crank attempt and you find out that your battery is dead, it's going to wake our system up. So when you open up an app that we've developed for Apple and Android, it's a free app available on those applicable app stores. You open up the app, it's going to immediately start doing the diagnosis of the vehicle's battery, the battery inside our VPS unit, and it can give you other details that if you're in, like, say, a really hot climate like Arizona, and it's a black car with black interior and it's 100, 40 something degrees in the car, well, maybe it's too hot to engage our system. Our system diagnostics can tell you that. It says, well, open some doors, cool down the unit before you engage it. Extremely cold climates up in, Alaska, northern Canada, our unit has a built-in battery heater. So in those extreme climates, our unit might take a couple of minutes to warm itself and warm the vehicle battery up before it engages. But again, all of it's told to you in the app. Once everything is ideal, if you're in a normal situation, you'll immediately get an engage button that will allow you to start the vehicle right from the driver's seat. If your phone dies, right on the unit itself, there's a manual engagement button. And then the difference is it's a matter of light flickers that are going to tell you if the system's ready by lighting up green versus the app that's telling you. So, a very simple device. But again, let's talk and go back to some scenarios. So, whether you're a side-by-side guy crawling up mountains, whether you're on the water with your boat, whether you're a motorcycle cruiser, whatever it may be, this can cover a multitude of applications. And the one I didn't mention is fleet vehicles. So anybody who's done, back in the day before backup cameras became standard, we're doing backup systems or tracking systems and still doing tracking systems. Well, then you already have inroads into the fleet channel. When we went to the trade shows, and we've been showing this product the last 3 years, whether it's been SEMA or CES, we've asked UPS has come to our booth. We found out that UPS every day carries a portable jump. Their drivers carry a portable jump pack, unplugs it into the vehicle. At the end of the day, brings it back. Well, fleet management, why do you want to deal with that? What if the guy forgets? No one wants to lose revenue. And that's what happens in a delivery service, whether you're Amazon, whether you're Snapple, Coca-Cola, whomever, right? You got a driver that needs to get to destinations. You don't want to be broken down on the side of the road because you've got a dead battery. So for, again, a small investment, you're taking care of that, taking that off the mindset and being able to now provide a solution that's in the vehicles, out of sight, out of mind, and that your trucks will keep running. So a lot of diversity here in its application. It's who you present it to. And like I said from the beginning, a product like this gives 12-volt retailers an opportunity to go outside the normal bubble of who they're engaging with and be able to find new revenue streams. And we all know in the last few years, finding new revenue streams is very important for any business, but especially in the 12-volt specialty electronics business. As vehicles come through with more and more factory options, we're all trying to figure out what's the next best thing that we could sink our teeth into to gain some revenue. Well, VPS gives a solution that allows you to go outside. You could stay within your normal bubble of consumers, but it gives you the opportunity to go well outside the normal bubble and engage new customers and bring new revenue streams into your company. So that's pretty much a synopsis on the product and what it does.
I've got, my head is spinning right now. Joe, let's go ahead and take down this presentation because I think what I want to have here is a dialogue with you. want to pick your brain because you've been at these shows, right? You mentioned at SEMA, CES, and you've spoken with distributors, you've spoken with retailers, and I like where you're knocking on the door of these potential 12-volt specialty stores. The first thing I'm going to comment on is you're absolutely right. These last 2-3 years we've had our ups and downs. Between a huge demand and surge in car audio to not getting the inventory because of delays and manufacturing challenges. It's been a roller coaster of a ride. Let's be honest. It is what it is. And now, I don't want to say the big R word, but, things are kind of up and down again and unsure. And certainly, I think most dealers aren't getting the traffic they might have gone, let's call it a year ago. So it's absolutely critical that as a retailer that you got to make sure that you're on top of every advantage that you can put in your corner to keep your business thriving, but to keep your customers engaged. And usually that means new product. Like it or not, what do we love the most in electronics? New product, because that's what gets people excited and gets what people to spend money. Well, with the VPS, not only is it a new product, it doesn't exist in any other category. Nobody's ever had anything like this to compare to. It's literally not only a new product, but a new category. Would you not agree, Joe?
It is to some extent, right? Again, we're the reality, and I'm a realist when it comes to product. I was just in a Publix yesterday, and I saw jumper cables, 1999. Well, everybody knows what jumper cables are, right? But again, you're a 12-volt shop, and you're showing products, or you're selling something. Now you could talk about something else as an option and do an upsell. You can upsell again. You're doing a tricked out system costing thousands of dollars. Why wouldn't you add it? Right? You got a guy that's going and doing, stereo systems and adding navigation and GPS on boats. Why wouldn't you talk about that? Right? These are just caveats. And one of the things that VOXX has also done is we created an awareness campaign. We've invested a lot of money into social media advertising to get the product out there to create awareness. So that's kind of different from the norm. I don't know many 12-volt electronics companies that go out to try to reach consumers direct. Might do some trade magazines and some trade publications, but we're trying to educate consumers. And like you said in the beginning, we've had to learn, if the general consumer is not willing to spend $299 plus install to have this installed, let's just call it, for argument's sake, $500, completely all in, right? If they're not willing to spend that and willing to just risk if I get a dead battery, well, okay, that's all right. But there's a whole nother stream to go after. Low-hanging fruit, like I mentioned in the Marine Fleet Municipality channels. Not all 12-volt shops venture out, but now you have a perfect opportunity to go to your local channels like that and talk to them and sell something, because this is a product that goes in and that's it. It's like video. Once you install it, customers only going to come back to you to buy something new and again, right? Rather than dealing with just coming in because a headache. Right. So it's a great revenue stream. It's a great product.
I want to break out our next few minutes here into 4 different things. I want to talk about what you mentioned about commercial fleet. I want to talk about high performance car audio systems. I want to talk about marine, and then I have the other category. And the other category will include stuff like RV, trailers, this type of stuff. So let's start with the very first one, commercial. A lot of guys, a lot of stores already are doing this type of business, like you mentioned. They might not be, I'm not really a fleet guy, but really you are. If you're dealing with small companies in your region that have 2, 5, 6 vehicles, that's kind of a fleet business. This is an opportunity that if you already have those channels open, man, include this in your review or your next presentation or your follow-up. You will look like the expert for bringing this technology to the table. And by doing so, you're demonstrating that you are the expert and specialist in the region. Therefore, there's no reason for them to look anywhere else because they know that you are bringing them the goods. Comments, Joe?
Agree, 100%. Here's a case in point. I don't know if any of your community out there know a company called ABT. They're located in the greater Chicago area. They're a one-store entity, and they do phenomenal business in their car electronics section. And every time I go visit them, there's either a full blown out RV in their bay or a boat more than I see vehicles. Why? Because they made themselves a destination. They made themselves known. And when you make yourself known to being able to do these other types of applications outside of traditional vehicles, customers talk. Business will come to you. And for this type of product, easy attachment. One of the things I forgot to mention, though, it's very important, prefaces everything. This is a device that works on 4, 6, 8-cylinder and light diesel engines.
Oh, yes,
So
very
it's
important
a
point.
multitude of different applications. We've tested it on a bus that had 4 stone cold dead batteries. We rated up to light diesel, but it probably can handle a little bit above it. But, in our industry, you have to put something on a box and you want to protect yourself. But, it's got a multitude of applications. As long as it's 12-volt related, once you start getting the big rigs, right, that's a whole different channel. And it's not that we're not working on something in that channel as well. Because, again, you don't want to track a trailer driver.
Yeah, like a BPS industrial thing.
But we walk before we run, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have to test the water, make sure you have a viable solution growing in the category before you expand it.
So just to round out that fleet conversation, fleet means a lot of things. It could be municipal, it could be emergency vehicles, it could be delivery vehicles, it could be service vehicles for the city that you're in or the region that you're in. It could be pizza delivery. Like it could be literally everything that relies on a time-sensitive vehicle bringing, goods somewhere. And this Absolutely. Is when you pitch that to the owner that this is more efficient and safer and so on and so forth. I can't see anybody in that position saying no, which is why I'm so adamant about this thing. This is like almost, you don't have to be that great of a salesman to sell this product, Joe, is what I'm saying.
You don't have to be the sharpest tool in the shed.
No.
All you have to do is talk about it, right? It's a very simple solution. The biggest thing for most consumers, though, that I feel is just the average consumer getting over the price hump when they're comparing it. Mm-hmm. That's why you have to talk about it and talk about its benefit if you want to target the general consumer. But again, it's like anybody that walks in your shop. You're talking to someone to a point and they're not gravitating, well, let's sell them on something else, right? Or get it into their head about a different application. So I don't want to get in front of you because I know you had broken this up into 4 segments. So I'll let you get there. And
right. No, it's important that you bring that up because I feel like the fleet commercial municipal customer, price might not be their number one deciding factor.
It's
right, especially that client.
They have budgets. I mean, when we visit just local municipalities and police, they have budgets that they have to work with.
Everybody has budgets.
So there's money out there. They're willing to spend. We're currently engaging in some discussions with military. Right? That for us is amazing to lock down a military contract. That'll be a first for VOXX. But again, think of all the road vehicles that are out there. Mm-hmm. And situations where you never want to have a dead battery.
No, exactly.
To put it in their vehicles. So anyway, there's a lot of opportunities.
Okay.
Fleet, revenue, definitely take advantage of that in your local area.
All right. Second category, high performance car audio. We're dealing with a customer, Joe, that won't even flinch at buying premium wire, premium accessories, extra batteries, high-end batteries. We're not even talking like run-of-the-mill, we're talking like AGMs and lithium type stuff, which are quite pricey. But that has to do with the performance and stuff. So you're already pre-qualifying a customer that understands the value of performance equipment. If they're doing this type of, system, they're probably either, competing at shows or they're part of that type of circuit or something. They're moving their vehicle around. It isn't sitting at home doing nothing. This is for me is an easy tag on to say, listen, sir, you've already invested in all this. If this drains out or whatever, know that you don't have to tow your vehicle. You'll always have a start. We can flush mount it here. It'd be super slick. $300, dude. That's half the price of a high quality AGM battery. I'm just saying.
You're already crawling in that vehicle to begin with, laying down vehicles all over the place. Why not add a $300 unit to your system? Make revenue on it. Make revenue on the sale. Add a couple more installation dollars for a person has a high likelihood of wanting it, right? They got all those widgets in there. Again, custom car, custom boat. You're tricking it out. Why not have the insurance when all that stuff is always sucking off your battery?
All of it.
Primary,
Literally.
or your
All
primary or secondary, right? So that's just a given to me.
You know, the marine thing I'm about to get into is an absolute given. I think I've already used this example already, but if you own a boat or you have customers or you're working on boats, do them a favor and install this unit in every single boat you work on. They will thank you for it later. There's not a single boater I know of that has not been in that grimy, awful, terrible feeling situation of being stranded and not being able to start their boat and just floating and helpless. Nobody. I don't care. If you own a boat and you're a boater, this has happened to you. This will save you ever having, why do I spend $400 on a life jacket? Because in the event that I fall over, I want to make sure that I'm not going down. No different when it comes to this type of device for a boat. That's my 2 cents.
Perfect analogy.
I wouldn't buy a cheap life jacket, would I? No. I'm going to buy the best one because when I need it, I need it. Period.
And in the application, it's even easier because most of the places where the marine is located, it's in a compartment area, and you can mount our VPS right next to it. So super simple.
Oh, we should mention though, in the box, what kind of hardware? I noticed in the image, it comes with the power and the ground wire that comes to a connector. So what actually comes in the box?
So we never know the length of run depending on where you're going to locate it in relation to the battery. So the unit itself has 8-inch pigtails, 6-gauge red and black power and ground wires coming out of it, and we include a 4-gauge barrel style butt connector. Because if you're going to run up to about 20 feet in length of additional length, you're going to need 4-gauge.
You're going to need 4-gauge.
Longer than that, you got to go to a heavier gauge, right? A lower number, heavier gauge wire. But the 2 4-gauge barrel connectors and heat shrink sleeves to go over them to make the connection is what we include.
All right.
And then again, most 12-volt shops, the reason why we don't provide an install kit is because most install shops will have cables, will have connectors. Okay, we do not suggest fusing the system, but it can be fused. Jury's out on that. There's some people that do the best.
In the instruction manual, does it recommend like putting a breaker between this and the battery or no?
Yeah, we avoid a breaker because remember, what is this doing? When it engages, it's sending a large amount of juice to the battery to jumpstart the vehicle. Any breaker or fuse that most shops have, it'll pop it hard.
Yeah, immediately. Right? The surge itself.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
There are fuses out there, slow burn AGM style fuses that you could purchase, and obviously not the breaker, but the casing for that. But that's if you're really concerned, right? If you use best practices, if you're running the 12, you're running the 4-gauge wire, power wire to the battery, you're gonna make sure in your run you're not gonna tap it with a sill plate clip or drywall screw.
Is there a maximum distance? I'm curious about that one. From the battery?
Maximum distance. It's just current, right? So like when you do the math on an amplifier, right? Depending on the run, how much current and current loss, you want to make sure you have the proper gauge to handle the current. That's why we gauge traditionally, unless you're going to do fleet box truck that, and you're putting the VPS all the way in the back for some reason, you're never going to go beyond 20 feet. Right, so 4-gauge will get you covered. And 4-gauge is not a problem for most shops. The thing to always remember, though, is those prepackaged install kits that many shops purchase and stock. That's not always true copper.
Oh, we're talking OFC now.
Yeah, so you got to make sure, not that you need true copper, but you don't want to be dealing with power cables in a kit that has a higher content of aluminum than it does copper.
Yeah.
Right, because all it's going to do is heat up the cable. And it's going to possibly create a risk.
Like in any other high-performance situation, you want to make sure you have the best quality cable as possible.
Absolutely.
True AWG, true copper, and you'll be fine.
Absolutely.
Okay. Moving to my last one, and this is the one I was most curious about. What is your opinion about this device for the RV market?
So again, RV, a lot of things going on. RV usually runs off its own isolated power source, right? Whether it's a generator or it's plugging into something. But just for the normal use of the RV, if you're going to be going off-road into campsites, whatever may be a hindrance or something that can impede the actual starter battery of your RV, well, why wouldn't you put that on there? As soon as you go out of the driveway, it's not like you're going to work and you're coming back. So these RVs are going on some extended
I
road
wasn't
trips.
saying this is not. You're not around the corner when this would happen.
Going, into the wherever your campsite is or wherever you're going to be, stopping and pitching tent, so to speak, even though it's an RV.
Walmart parking lot.
You don't want to be stuck, right? So why wouldn't you? The same mentality is for rock crawlers. Whether you're a hunter or just recreational.
My segue was about power sports and motorcycles. You dropped that in the beginning, but anyways, let's go right into that. Yeah, absolutely. I was curious.
Why would you want to be off the beaten trail and run into a situation where you're not going to be able to get back? You wouldn't.
You go through the rigmarole of make sure you have the oil and the extra gas with you and a jerry can and all this extra and a first aid kit. What's your backup if your battery dies?
That's Overlander. SEMA, if you went to SEMA this year, that was like it's a growing segment every year. But almost every vehicle that was out there, inside or outside, had some semblance of Overlander. So you have your stuck in the sand, skid plates, all the good stuff, shovels,
winch, shovels. Yeah.
Why wouldn't you put in a backup battery pack? I mean, you're going to go through that extreme. Well, chances are, if you're going to go off road, you're going to be running.
I think it's marketing. I think you just need to put an Overland word on the box of the case, and the Overlander edition, and all of a sudden these guys will jump on it.
Like I said, and you started with, right? There's some products that just are blatant. Mobile video, entertaining kids, vehicle security, remote start, convenience, safety. This one doesn't really require a lot of education, but you have to think about when you're comparing apples. And you're comparing apples and apples, not apples to oranges, right? And that's what this is in the arena against jumper cables and roadside assistance and portable jump packs. This is different, completely different device. Why no one thought about it a long time ago? Who knows?
Well, I'm going to argue maybe the battery tech wasn't quite there yet. Application, your wireless app makes a big difference as well. So maybe a primitive version, agreed. But where it's at right now, that couldn't have come earlier than maybe now.
Absolutely. And battery tech, right? There's a lot of different types of lithium batteries.
Yes.
Okay. Lithium iron phosphate. Google search it. Look at it. Then you'll know what sets us apart from just your traditional off-the-shelf type of products that are out there, outside of the feature benefits and everything else that our system does.
So you're talking power sport, off-road vehicles, and even bike. Is there a need to create maybe a more lower profile version of this for those type of vehicles?
Sure. Originally, we had 3 products on the roadmap. We had the traditional product that we sell now. We had a marine version, and then we had a power sports version and cut about the size of it in half. So our system is about 8 by 8 by 1.5 inches high, right? So it's not a huge footprint, but big footprint. On a bike, motorcycle, you don't need something that big. You don't need a 3,500 milliamp.
The battery itself is only this big, right?
Yeah. So, you only need like a 2,100 milliamp hour battery. So we can cut the size down. But going back to what I mentioned, having the separate versions, what we want to do is launch something first. Right? Get it out there. We found that our unit, because it's IP67 rated, works perfect in a marine environment. There was no need to go through and create a marine version. Now, will we create a marine version that adds another feature like a battery tender so you have 2 products in one? Yeah, we can look at that. Right now,
hold on. Did you just say battery tender, like a multi-battery charger and that built into one unit?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the thought process, right? Yeah. Today, if you own a boat, you usually have a battery tender, whether 100%. It was standard with your boat or you purchase it separately and you plugging it in and making sure your batteries are fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you have 2 products in one. Yeah, your batteries are fresh when you leave the dock, but now you're, like I said, you're having fun on the water and you want to have as much fun as possible, but you're never going to be in a situation where your battery's dead if you have one of our devices.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, walk before we run, right? It's something that's on the roadmap. But the 2,100 milliamp hour system for power sports for the smaller vehicles, we're working on it as well.
That would make a lot of sense. Just because of space constraints, and the fact that you don't even need that much power for the small batteries that they are.
You don't need overkill.
No, we don't need overkill. Listen, you've literally answered, and we've talked about everything I want. The whole goal of this, I really wanted to get the message across, Joe, that this is one of those devices that goes multi-platform across the board. I don't care what comes in your shop, one of these can go into it. And there's a different way to approach it, yes, from a sales perspective, depending on the customer. But at the end of the day, it's undeniable that price versus return on value and the appreciation that the customer would have for it, if explained properly, that's undeniable.
Absolutely. And like I said, we're giving the retail community the ability to go outside the normal customer. So there's, again, there's not a lot of products that you could do that with nowadays.
Mm-mm.
So we're trying to just plug the hole, so to speak, and give everybody more revenue capability.
Well, aren't you just, a great addition to our industry, helping everybody get more opportunities? Thank you, Joe.
No problem.
If you're interested in what we're talking about, you've stuck with us this long, then you definitely should take a closer look at it. You want to go to their website, VOXXelectronics.com. That is the website for all things VOXX Electronics. And obviously, you can break that down further, but there's a whole section of the VOXX power system in there. And I would imagine, Joe, should there be any updates, that's where you would find them.
Absolutely.
All right. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Joe, for coming in again, having this long-winded discussion with me, but I felt it was important that we really cover all the bases, and maybe some that tuned in that didn't even know about it and just heard about it today, and that's all right, too. So on that note, thank you for coming in. I look forward to our next one.
We love supporting you.
Take care. We love your support. Take care, Joe. Well, there you have it. VOXX Power System, a unique device, a unique solution to a lot of people's problems. And if you don't know about it, be that expert. Inform your customers about it. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised on not only the response, but how happy they would be if you installed it and they see the benefits. On that note, I want to remind you to continue tuning in to CMA Networks as we continue down the avenue that is mobile audio accessories. We are covering one brand at a time right through till Friday, July 8th, and all different types of categories when it comes to accessories. Really a broad kind of category, but lots of different opportunities to learn about stuff in the accessory category. Also, if you like this video and you want to learn more, make sure you check out our website, cmanetworks.com. We got different search options for you. You can look at for your favorite video through your brand search, or maybe through a category that you're interested in, or even through your favorite trainer. Go check out Joe. He's got his own playlist on there of all the videos that we've done together. Thanks for sticking in with us, and I hope you're having a good day. This is CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.
I mean, yeah, it's time about
Stop
today when we go
Yo,
topics.
roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to SiriusXM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on SiriusXM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?